Luciferianism, a word that stirs curiosity, confusion, and even fear in many. But what if I told you that the true essence of Lucifer is not what most have been led to believe? What if Lucifer is not the embodiment of evil, but rather a symbol of enlightenment, freedom, and the pursuit of knowledge? For centuries, the figure of Lucifer has been shrouded in myth, twisted by religious dogma, and misunderstood by millions. But behind this veil of confusion lies a deeper truth. Could it be that the ancient archetype of Lucifer represents something far greater than we ever imagined? Why has this symbol been hidden, misrepresented, and manipulated for so long? Why do we continue to confuse Luciferianism with Satanism when they are fundamentally different paths, representing opposing forces of light and darkness? Could there be something in Luciferianism that we've been missing? Something that, if understood, could change the way we view the world, our power, and our potential. In this video, we will peel back the layers of centuries of misconception, revealing the true nature of Luciferianism. Together, we will explore the essence of Lucifer as the Lightbringer, not a force of destruction, but a beacon of knowledge, wisdom, and transcendence. You'll uncover why this philosophy is much more about self-empowerment, freedom, and enlightenment than anything associated with the fear and darkness that religion has linked it to. Through this journey, you'll come to understand how Luciferianism is not just a relic of the past, but a powerful force that has shaped secret societies, esoteric traditions, and even modern-day movements. As we dive deeper, you'll gain insights that will challenge everything you thought you knew about Lucifer, Satanism, and the very nature of good and evil. You'll see how this ancient archetype is still alive today in movements like Freemasonry, Theosophy, and Gnosticism. Let's take a step into the light of reason, where we'll unlock the mysteries of Luciferianism together. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the pursuit of knowledge and personal transcendence is not just a path for the few, but a calling for all. So, stay with me as we explore this fascinating and often misunderstood system. And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Lucifer represents wisdom and freedom, or is there something darker at play? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exploration of these hidden truths. Let's journey together into the heart of enlightenment. Luciferianism, a word that holds a profound resonance throughout history, has long been misunderstood, often conflated with dark forces of evil. But as we begin to peel back the layers, we discover that the truth of Lucifer and Luciferianism is far more complex and deeply empowering. What if I told you that Lucifer, far from being the symbol of evil, is instead a powerful beacon of enlightenment, freedom, and personal transformation? What if this misunderstood figure, whom so many have feared, actually represents the highest ideals of self-empowerment, reason, and transcendence? To truly understand Luciferianism, we must first acknowledge the deep connection between knowledge and freedom. The archetype of Lucifer as the Lightbringer has always been about shedding light on the path to truth, much like the morning star that heralds the dawn of a new day. In ancient mythology, the name Lucifer itself means Lightbringer, or morning star, referring to the planet Venus as it rises before the sun. For thousands of years, cultures have associated Venus with beauty, wisdom, and the arrival of a new light. This symbolism is no accident. Just as the dawn breaks through the darkness, Luciferianism seeks to illuminate the shadows of ignorance and elevate the human spirit to its highest potential. But over time, this powerful archetype was distorted, largely due to religious dogma that sought to control and suppress knowledge. Lucifer, once a symbol of enlightenment, was recast as a figure of evil. This misinterpretation laid the foundation for centuries of misconceptions, blending the idea of Satan with Lucifer and creating a false narrative of good versus evil. The truth, however, is far more nuanced and offers us a profound invitation to break free from the chains of fear and dogma. Luciferianism, at its core, is not about worshipping a deity. It is a philosophy, a path of self-empowerment, and a quest for enlightenment. It is about choosing to model oneself after Lucifer's archetype, seeking knowledge, wisdom, and personal transformation. This is why Luciferianism is so often misunderstood. It is not a religion in the traditional sense, but rather a set of principles that guides individuals towards self-actualization. The core tenet is that enlightenment is within reach for all, and that true freedom comes from embracing knowledge, whether it be through intellectual, spiritual, or emotional growth. To understand this path more clearly, let us look at the symbolic connection between Lucifer and Prometheus, another figure from Greek mythology who embodies the same principles of defiance and enlightenment. Prometheus, much like Lucifer, brought fire to humanity, an act that symbolized the gift of knowledge and intellectual freedom. In defying the gods, Prometheus did not seek destruction, but rather the elevation of humanity, granting it the power to create, innovate, and transcend. His punishment, being bound to a rock while an eagle ate his liver daily, was a result of his defiance, yet he remained steadfast in his belief that humanity deserved the gift of enlightenment. Just like Prometheus, Lucifer's role is not one of destruction, but of liberation. The myths surrounding both figures highlight their desire to give humanity the tools needed to transcend ignorance and limitation. The fire that Prometheus brought was a metaphor for the illumination of human consciousness, much like the light Lucifer brings in Luciferianism. It is the light of reason, wisdom, and self-awareness. This is where the true power of Luciferianism lies. It calls upon us to become our own gods, to realize our own potential, and to embrace our inherent divinity. The ultimate goal is apotheosis, the realization of one's full potential as a being of light, wisdom, and transcendence. This idea of becoming one's own god may seem controversial, but it is rooted in the belief that each individual possesses the divine spark within, capable of reaching their highest state of consciousness. Just as Jesus, in Gnostic thought, is seen as the embodiment of Sophia, the divine wisdom, Luciferianism teaches us that we, too, can embody this divine wisdom through our own awakening. Throughout history, many systems have recognized and upheld these principles. Freemasonry, for instance, has long been associated with Luciferian ideals. While some might assume Freemasonry is a secret society bent on power and manipulation, in reality, its core teachings are deeply aligned with the principles of enlightenment, personal growth, and the pursuit of wisdom. The symbolism of the light in Freemasonry, the pursuit of knowledge, and the journey towards self-realization all align closely with the teachings of Luciferianism. In the same vein, Theosophy and Gnosticism share similar themes, emphasizing the pursuit of knowledge, spiritual transcendence, and the idea that humanity can reach higher states of consciousness through awakening to the light within. Yet, despite these connections, many still view Luciferianism through the lens of fear, equating it with dark, sinister forces. But in truth, Luciferianism is about rejecting the fear of the unknown, embracing knowledge and challenging the status quo. It encourages us to question everything, to seek truth wherever it may lead, and to break free from the chains of societal and religious conditioning that hold us back. It asks us to confront our fears, transcend our limitations, and embrace the light of wisdom and understanding. This journey of self-empowerment is not without its challenges. As with all paths of enlightenment, it requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to confront the darkness within and without. But it is through these challenges that we grow, evolve, and ultimately come to understand our true nature. Just as Lucifer's rebellion was an act of defiance against an oppressive system, so too must we rebel against the limitations imposed upon us by society, religion, and even our own minds. We must be willing to stand in the light of our own truth, even when it means facing uncomfortable realities. By embracing Luciferianism, we are not embracing evil. We are embracing our own potential to rise above the darkness and to shine with the brilliance of enlightenment. This is the true meaning of Luciferianism, the belief that we are all capable of achieving apotheosis, of becoming our own gods, by seeking knowledge, wisdom, and personal transformation. It is a path that leads to freedom, not just freedom from external control, but freedom from the internal limitations that prevent us from realizing our full potential. This philosophy, though ancient, is not confined to the past. It is as relevant today as it ever was. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, the call to embrace knowledge, to seek enlightenment, and to transcend our limitations is more important than ever. It is a call to recognize the divine spark within ourselves and to ignite the light of wisdom, reason, and compassion in the world. Luciferianism offers us the tools to break free from the darkness of ignorance and to step into the light of truth, where we can truly become who we are meant to be. As we continue this exploration into Luciferianism, remember that it is not a path of blind worship or servitude. It is a path of self-mastery, of enlightenment, and of the realization that the greatest power lies within us all. Lucifer, the Lightbringer, is not an external force to be worshipped, but an internal force to be awakened within us. It is the light that shines within, urging us to rise above the limitations of our minds and embrace our highest potential. In the end, the journey of Luciferianism is not just about understanding Lucifer. It is about understanding ourselves and the immense power we hold within. It is about reclaiming our birthright to freedom, wisdom, and transcendence. The true question is not whether we can become like Lucifer, but whether we are willing to embrace the light within us and allow it to guide us toward our own awakening. The answer lies within you. And as we continue, let us reflect on the immense power that knowledge and enlightenment hold. How will you use this light to illuminate your own path? The choice is yours. Luciferianism is not just a distant, ancient concept. It is a living philosophy, one that speaks to the deepest part of the human spirit. It beckons us to awaken to our fullest potential, to rise above the ignorance that clouds our perception of ourselves and the world around us. So what does it really mean to be a Luciferian in today's world? How does it apply to our lives, our struggles, and our triumphs? The principles of Luciferianism offer more than a path. They offer a way of life, a call to action for those who dare to break free from the constraints of conventional thinking. The most profound aspect of Luciferianism is the emphasis on personal responsibility. The Luciferian path teaches that each of us is responsible for our own fate. No one can dictate our path except for ourselves. The divine spark within us, the light of wisdom and reason, is what guides us forward, not the dogmas of religion or the rules imposed by society. This principle is empowering. It frees us from the chains of victimhood, urging us to take control of our lives and become the creators of our own destiny. By embracing our power and taking responsibility for our choices, we begin the transformative journey toward self-realization. Consider the story of Prometheus, the ancient Greek titan who defied the gods to give fire to humanity. He knew that by sharing the gift of fire, he would not only empower humanity, but also help them transcend the limitations that bound them. But Prometheus faced punishment for his actions. He was bound to a rock, his liver eaten by an eagle every day. Yet, despite the suffering, he stood by his choice. The lesson here is profound. Sometimes, the path of enlightenment requires sacrifice. But it is through that sacrifice that we grow, that we rise, and that we evolve. The choice to embrace the Luciferian ideal is no different. It calls for courage, defiance against the status quo, and a willingness to endure hardship for the sake of awakening to our higher selves. This archetype of Lucifer as the Lightbringer is rooted deeply in the concept of self-empowerment. Lucifer, the bearer of light, is the embodiment of wisdom and knowledge, the eternal search for truth. Luciferianism encourages us to embrace this light, not as a symbol of rebellion for the sake of rebellion, but as a force that leads us to greater understanding and freedom. This light represents clarity of mind, a burning desire to seek truth, no matter how uncomfortable or difficult it may be. And in that pursuit of truth, we find the power to transcend the limitations placed upon us by society and the world around us. It is also important to understand that Luciferianism is not about worship. Unlike traditional religions, where worship is directed toward an external deity, Luciferianism invites us to worship the self, to honor the divine within us. It teaches that we are not subjects of some higher power, but co-creators of our reality. We are encouraged to seek enlightenment within, to trust our own intuition, and to trust that the answers we seek can be found through self-reflection and personal growth. The pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and self-understanding is the foundation of this path. It is not a path that relies on external authority or guidance, but rather one that encourages us to become our own authority, to trust the inner light that guides us through the darkness of the world. In this light, Luciferianism is a call to transcend the material. This does not mean rejecting the physical world, but understanding that our true essence is spiritual and transcendent. The world we see with our physical eyes is just a fraction of the totality of existence. By embracing the spiritual aspect of life, we free ourselves from the cycle of materialism and ego-driven pursuits that ultimately leave us feeling empty. Luciferianism teaches us that fulfillment comes not from external possessions or accolades, but from internal growth, knowledge, and wisdom. It is through this inner enlightenment that we find peace, purpose, and true happiness. But how do we apply these principles in our daily lives? How can we embody the teachings of Luciferianism in a practical way? The key lies in recognizing that we are the architects of our own lives. Each choice we make shapes the reality we experience. This is not a passive existence, but an active, intentional journey of creation. It requires us to be mindful of our thoughts, our actions, and our beliefs. By aligning our actions with our higher truth, we begin to live a life that reflects our true potential. It is about living authentically, embracing our inner power, and using that power to create a life that is aligned with our deepest desires. Take, for example, the story of Sophia, the divine figure of wisdom in Gnosticism. She too defied the expectations of the world in her pursuit of knowledge. Sophia, often depicted as the spirit of wisdom, represents the inner light that leads us to truth. In Gnosticism, she is seen as the one who awakens us to the divine truth of our existence. By embracing the wisdom that Sophia embodies, we can awaken the same divine wisdom within ourselves. The message here is clear. Wisdom is not something to be bestowed upon us from the outside, but is something we must awaken from within. This same principle applies to the Luciferian path. It teaches us that wisdom, enlightenment, and self-realization are not dependent on external forces, but on our willingness to look within, to challenge the beliefs and systems that limit us, and to rise to our highest potential. The path of Luciferianism is a journey of self-discovery, and it is one that calls for a deep commitment to personal growth, learning, and transformation. As we walk this path, we are invited to embrace the light of wisdom and let it guide us toward greater freedom, peace, and empowerment. When we speak of free will, we are acknowledging our innate ability to choose our own path, to create our own destiny. In many religious systems, free will is often seen as a test or a challenge, something to be submitted to a higher power. But in Luciferianism, free will is celebrated as a divine gift, a gift that allows us to carve our own path and create our own reality. By embracing free will, we take responsibility for our choices, and through that responsibility, we find our true power. As we continue on this journey, remember that the true power of Luciferianism lies in the ability to transcend the material world and embrace the spiritual path of self-realization. It is a path that leads us to a deeper understanding of who we truly are and what we are capable of. It calls us to embrace knowledge, to seek wisdom, and to rise above the limitations of the ego and the material world. It is not a path for the faint of heart, but for those who are willing to challenge the status quo, question the beliefs that have been handed down to them, and step boldly into the light of their own truth. Luciferianism is a path of enlightenment, empowerment, and transcendence. It is a philosophy that calls us to awaken the divine light within, to trust in our own wisdom, and to create the life we were always meant to live. And as we walk this path, we are reminded that the journey is just as important as the destination. It is not about reaching a final state of perfection, but about the continual process of growth, learning, and self-discovery. Through this process, we come to understand that we are not separate from the divine. We are the divine, in all our glory and imperfection. So, as we embrace the teachings of Luciferianism, let us remember that the path of enlightenment is a personal journey. It is a journey that requires us to look inward, to challenge the beliefs that limit us, and to trust in our own light to guide us forward. It is a path of self-realization, self-empowerment, and the awakening of the divine potential that resides within each of us. And as we walk this path, let us continue to share our wisdom, our insights, and our light with the world, knowing that by doing so, we are helping others to awaken to their own truth. As we move forward on this journey, let us remember that we are the Lightbringers. We are the ones who have the power to change the world, and by embracing our own divine potential, we can create a reality that is filled with wisdom, compassion, and enlightenment. Luciferianism, with its deep roots in wisdom and enlightenment, is more than just an ancient system of beliefs. It's a powerful lens through which we can view our modern world and our journey of personal evolution. While many people see it as a mystical or esoteric philosophy, its principles hold profound relevance today, shaping not only our individual lives, but also the communities we build and the ways we relate to the world around us. This philosophy challenges us to rise above societal limitations, embrace knowledge, and become the best versions of ourselves, just as Lucifer, the Lightbringer, symbolizes the quest for personal and spiritual freedom. But what does this really mean for us in practical terms? How does Luciferianism manifest in our everyday lives and the way we interact with others? The principle of collective empowerment is central to understanding Luciferianism's broader impact. It's not just about personal enlightenment, but about how that enlightenment can be shared to uplift others. While the traditional narrative often focuses on individual achievement, Luciferianism emphasizes the idea that enlightenment is not a solitary pursuit, but something that can enhance the collective human experience. As we rise in knowledge and wisdom, we are called to share that light with others, guiding them to awaken their own potential. One of the most powerful examples of this can be found in the story of Lucifer as the Lightbringer. As Lucifer is often misunderstood as a figure of rebellion against God, what is frequently overlooked is the nature of that rebellion. It was not one of destruction, but of enlightenment. Lucifer's defiance was not an act of hostility, but a declaration of freedom. The freedom to choose, to think critically, to seek knowledge, and to help others do the same. This is not just a personal freedom. It's a collective call to break free from the bonds of ignorance and to ignite the light of wisdom within our communities. This principle aligns closely with the ancient myths of Prometheus, the titan who defied the gods to bring fire to humanity. Like Lucifer, Prometheus wasn't acting out of malice, but out of love for humanity, desiring to empower people to rise above their current state and ascend to a new level of understanding and capability. The fire in this context symbolizes knowledge, the very essence of enlightenment that allows us to think independently, to shape our own destinies, and to create a world that reflects our highest ideals. Just as Prometheus shared the gift of fire, Luciferianism urges us to share the light of wisdom, understanding that through our collective growth, the world itself can be transformed. Luciferianism is not about hoarding wisdom or guarding it from others. It's about spreading that knowledge, not only for personal growth, but for the betterment of society as a whole. Think about it. When you learn something transformative, do you keep it to yourself, or do you share it with those around you? The principle of collective enlightenment invites us to look beyond our personal journey and recognize that our wisdom can help illuminate the paths of others. Just as Lucifer shines a light on our potential, we are tasked with passing that light forward, encouraging those around us to seek their own truth and reach for their own greatness. This principle is alive in countless movements for social change, education, and personal empowerment, where the knowledge gained by one person is shared with many to create a ripple effect of positive transformation. Another key aspect of Luciferianism is the rejection of external control. Luciferianism is about rejecting the structures that limit our potential, be they religious dogma, societal expectations, or cultural norms. It calls us to question authority and to find our own path toward truth and enlightenment. This doesn't mean rejecting all authority. Rather, it means questioning authority that seeks to suppress or limit our personal freedom and understanding. In a world that often values conformity over individuality, this principle of self-determination can be revolutionary. It asks us to step into our full power, to embrace our unique identity, and to challenge any system that keeps us from realizing our highest potential. Gnosticism, which shares many themes with Luciferianism, teaches that the key to liberation lies in knowledge, the inner knowledge that frees us from ignorance and illusion. The figure of Sophia, the embodiment of divine wisdom in Gnostic thought, is a perfect representation of the Luciferian pursuit of knowledge. Like Lucifer, Sophia is a teacher who helps guide humanity toward a deeper understanding of the divine, showing us that knowledge is the path to freedom and transcendence. This aligns perfectly with the Luciferian principle that knowledge is power, the power to transcend the mundane and enter a realm of higher understanding. However, it's important to note that Luciferianism doesn't advocate for blind knowledge. It's not simply about accumulating facts or information. Instead, Luciferianism promotes the integration of knowledge, the process of applying wisdom to our daily lives in a way that leads to real, transformative change. It's not enough to simply understand the world. We must be willing to act upon that understanding to improve ourselves and the world around us. This is the true power of knowledge, the ability to transform, to evolve, and to help others do the same. This transformative process is about self-mastery. Luciferianism teaches us that true power lies in our ability to control ourselves, to master our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It's about recognizing that we are not victims of our circumstances, but powerful creators of our reality. This journey towards self-mastery isn't always easy. It requires self-discipline, introspection, and a willingness to face the parts of ourselves that are uncomfortable or difficult to confront. But through this process, we gain freedom, the freedom to choose our path, to shape our future, and to live a life aligned with our highest ideals. In practical terms, this means that Luciferianism encourages us to cultivate inner strength and self-awareness. The more we understand ourselves, the more control we have over our lives. The more we are in touch with our own inner wisdom, the more capable we become of creating a reality that reflects our deepest desires. This self-awareness is not just about intellectual knowledge, it's about emotional and spiritual intelligence. The kind of intelligence that allows us to make wise decisions, to treat others with compassion, and to act with integrity. At the heart of Luciferianism is the idea of personal sovereignty, the understanding that we are not subject to any external force, but are the rulers of our own destiny. We are free to make our own choices, to chart our own course, and to create a life that reflects our true essence. This sovereignty is not a form of domination over others. Rather, it is about personal empowerment and the ability to take responsibility for our actions. It is a reminder that we have the power to shape our lives and that our choices determine our path. As we walk the path of Luciferianism, we are called to embrace the light of reason, wisdom, and compassion. It is a path that requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to face the unknown, but it is also a path of personal and collective liberation, a path that invites us to transcend the limitations of the material world and rise to our highest potential. It's a call to reject the fear and ignorance that have bound humanity for centuries and to embrace a future where knowledge, freedom, and enlightenment are available to all. Just as Lucifer is the Lightbringer, so too can we be light-bearers, lighting the way for others and helping to create a world where freedom, wisdom, and compassion reign. As we embrace this path, we recognize that the journey is not just about self-discovery, it's about collective awakening. Each of us has a role to play in illuminating the world, and through our individual enlightenment, we can help others to find their own truth, their own path, and their own power. Luciferianism, when understood through the lens of wisdom, compassion, and personal empowerment, becomes not just a philosophy, it becomes a transformative force that can shape our world for the better. As we close this chapter on the path of Luciferianism, let us take a moment to reflect on the profound insights we've uncovered together. We've journeyed through the misunderstood aspects of Lucifer, seen through the lens of light and enlightenment, and embraced the deeper truth of what it means to seek knowledge and transcendence. The message is clear. Luciferianism is not a path of destruction, but one of personal empowerment, freedom, and the awakening of wisdom. What we've learned today is a reminder that the power to change is within us all. Lucifer, in his purest form, represents the light that guides us toward our own divinity. Through self-discovery, we can illuminate not only our own lives, but also light the way for others. As we align ourselves with the ideals of knowledge, wisdom, and transcendence, we begin to see beyond the limitations that have been imposed upon us, and we start to create a reality that reflects our deepest desires and the light that resides within us. We live in a world that often holds us back with fear, misinformation, and control. But Luciferianism calls us to break free from those shackles. It invites us to rise above the noise, to question the status quo, and to embrace the truth that is waiting for us just beyond the horizon of societal conditioning. The journey is not easy, but it is a journey worth taking. As we begin to walk this path of enlightenment, we come to realize that we are not just passive recipients of knowledge, but active creators of our own destiny. The path we choose is not just for us alone, it is for the collective awakening of humanity. As we rise, so too do those around us. The knowledge and wisdom we gain are not meant to be kept to ourselves, but shared to help others find their own light. Luciferianism reminds us that we are all connected, and by embracing our individual power, we can help uplift the world. It's through this connection that we discover our true power, the power to transform, to heal, and to elevate. If this video has resonated with you in any way, if you feel that it has sparked something deep within you, then I invite you to share in the energy of this journey. Your support means more than words can express. It is the fuel that allows this community to grow and spread the light further. If you feel that this message has added something valuable to your heart, something that nourishes your soul, consider showing your support. Every bit of energy, every moment of engagement is a reminder that we are not alone on this journey. Your like, your subscription, and your comments are not just a reflection of support. They are a reflection of our shared path toward enlightenment. I am deeply grateful for every person who has taken the time to watch, to reflect, and to engage with this message. Whether it is a simple like, a comment, or a subscription, your presence here helps to keep the light burning. Together we create a community that encourages each other to grow, to rise, and to live fully in our truth. Every act of support, no matter how small, is a step toward making this world a place where wisdom and freedom are cherished. As we move forward, let us remember that the journey doesn't end here. The pursuit of enlightenment is a lifelong path, and each day offers us an opportunity to rise higher, to embrace new truths, and to transform ourselves into the best versions of who we were always meant to be. The light we seek is not an abstract idea. It is within us, waiting to be unleashed, waiting to guide us through the darkness. So, as you reflect on what we've discussed today, ask yourself, what is your next step on this path of enlightenment? Are you ready to let go of the old narratives that have held you back and step into the light of your true self? Luciferianism, in its purest form, calls for us to become our own gods, to embrace the divine spark that lies within each of us, and to use that light to create a world that reflects the highest ideals of knowledge, freedom, and compassion. As you walk this path, may you always remember that you are the Lightbringer, and your light is meant to shine brightly in the world. If you feel that this message has touched you, has ignited something within you, please take a moment to engage. Like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone you believe will benefit from this message. Your support is invaluable, and together we can spread the light even further. Remember, the journey is just beginning, and we are all walking it together. Thank you for being a part of this incredible community, and may the light of knowledge and wisdom always guide your way.